We're working against opponents who make politics personal, who distort and deny the truth and put partisan gain ahead of the national interest. We're working against a government that's ready to sacrifice national unity to stay in power, as we saw last December. But we have a secret weapon. The secret weapon on our side is Stephen Harper's record. The worst unemployment in 2 decades, the worst deficit in our history, and last quarter, the worst performing economy in the G7. Stephen Harper didn't see a recession coming last fall, and now he's not seeing something bigger. We're going through something that's more than a recession. It's a fundamental restructuring of the global economy. Stephen Harper doesn't get that. He doesn't get that Canada's in a race, and we've got to position our country to compete in the 21st century. We've got to make Canada a world leader again, and we've got to do it now. Stephen Harper doesn't get it, but we do. For more than a century, we've built our prosperity on our natural resources. But if we're to prosper in the next century, we have to turn our resources into products and technologies that the whole world wants to buy. We can't get there unless we have the ambition and vision to build a competitive, a compassionate future for Canada. We can't get there unless we open up new markets for Canadian exports in countries like China and India. We can't get there with Stephen Harper. Stephen Harper has been Prime Minister of Canada for 4 years, and he's never even visited China. And we're planning to go there. And after that, we'll plan a trip to India. That's where we need to be as a country. That's where we need to be as a country if we want to secure markets for the next generation of our exports, if we want to compete with the best of the world, and if we want to get out of the trade deficit the Conservatives have created, which is the first in 30 years. We can do better. Nous pouvons faire mieux. We would use Canada's G8 summit to begin the process of evolving the G8 to a G20 as the world's steering committee. We cannot make progress on global challenges without India and China at the table. Canada can lead in a changing world, but only if we dare to act. Stephen Harper wants to keep us on the sidelines. We can do better. Stephen Harper hasn't just failed to stand up for Canada. He's also failed to stand up for Canadians. Swad Mohammed, Omar Khadr, Maktal, Bahari, Mohammed, Abdul Razik. Being a Canadian must mean that the Canadian government will stand up for you no matter where, no matter when. That is the heart of what every Liberal believes. In June, we set out 4 tests for Stephen Harper. Mr. Harper, you've failed all 4. After 4 years of drift, 4 years of denial, 4 years of division, 4 years of discord, Mr. Harper, your time is up. We will hold Stephen Harper to account, and we will oppose his government in Parliament.
We had an election in this country less than a year ago. And I'll say again, I haven't met a single Canadian who's saying they want to see an election right now. I just don't find that. I think Canadians have been pretty clear. They want Parliament to focus on the economy. That is what the government will be doing in the fall session. And, you know, it's certainly our view, and I think the view of the vast majority of Canadians, that going through more political games, more political instability, does not serve the country's interests right now. So we're planning to address the economy, and that will be our focus.
One quick follow-up on that.
We'll move on to Scott Dipel, CBC Radio. Okay, go ahead.
We've just got the news that the Liberals have announced at the news conference that they plan to end their support for your government. So just going back, are things too dysfunctional to continue then?
I think Canadians want Parliament to focus on the economy, and that is what this government will be doing. I think that if you don't listen to Canadians in this business, you'll find yourselves in a lot of trouble. But I think it's pretty clear that the focus of Canadians is the economy, not more political games.
Mr. Ignatieff has said he will no longer support the government. Will you introduce a no-confidence motion to force that issue, and when?
Yes, we will, and at the earliest opportunity. We have played as much as we could. We played away, made every effort to be supportive and constructive, but that at a certain point it becomes necessary for us to say to the Canadian people, you have some choices to make. I saw the comments by the Prime Minister saying this isn't the time to play political games. An election is not a political game. An election is about fundamental choices. It's about our values, it's about our interests, it's about where we think the country needs to go, and a sense that this government just is not up to the job, just not up to that standard which Canadians expect of a good government, and we believe that we can provide that government, and we certainly believe that with Michael's leadership we can give them a great Prime Minister. At the first available opportunity, we'll be moving a vote of non-confidence in the government. I don't know how one can be any clearer than that. We're ready for an election. We're ready to make a case to the Canadian people as to why we believe the Liberal Party represents a better choice. And you know, a friend of mine put it to me very well the other day. He said, you know, it's very difficult to go to people in an election campaign and ask them to vote against a government if you're not prepared to vote against them yourself. Mr. Ignatieff was saying we don't have to hold our noses. We don't have to do any of that anymore. We're just going to do and say exactly what we think and feel as Canadians, and let the chips fall where they may when the House returns.